Everyone, good morning. It is a Monday and we are feeling good because it is a holiday week. Hi, I'm Tim Pham.
And I'm Channing Curtis. Well, let's go ahead and get things started on this Monday morning because there's a lot happening this week and especially the next couple of days. So meteorologist Thomas Patrick, take it away with the forecast. I know you've got good news for us.
Yeah, the weather is actually looking really nice for today and tomorrow for the 4th of July. We're kind of settling into that very typical summer pattern for the inland Northwest. Not just hot during the day, but actually reasonably cool first thing in the morning, or at least cool enough to offset some of those hottest temperatures. We saw a lot of areas with lows not just in the 50s, but even 40s. So let's take a look at those current temperatures across the region. Yeah, still a handful of 40s on the map, including 44 in Pullman. It's 49 in Coeur d'Alene. Even the St. Mary's thermometers showing 37 degrees this morning. Not surprised. I think that's at a little bit of elevation, that St. Mary's mark. But 59 Spokane, quite a bit warmer. Very volatile first thing in the morning, just how cold some of those temperatures could be. But once we get to about 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning, all that evens out and we'll be back into the mid 80s with hazy skies this afternoon.
We are continuing to track several fires burning around the Northwest this morning. In Spokane County, fire crews responded to a brush fire near Cheney over the weekend.
The Washington State Department of Natural Resources says the fire has burned more than 25 acres. At this hour, Spokane County Fire District 3 says it is 30% contained. They also say the aircraft working the fire was released. No evacuations were issued and no buildings burned.
Now this morning, evacuations have been lifted for a brush fire that sparked near Medical Lake. At one point, the fire caused level 3 evacuations and even trapped some residents. According to Spokane County Emergency Management, the fire started Saturday night. It is now 100% contained. The fire burned just over 10 acres. However, officials say no one was hurt and no buildings were burned.
An update from overnight, a wildfire burning near the town of Underwood in Skamania County right now. Just hours ago, officials tell us a water boil notice was issued. The utility company says the water may be contaminated because of a loss of pressure while battling the wildfire. The Tunnel 5 fire has now burned more than 300 acres. Firefighters say some structures have been lost. Level 3 go now evacuations are still in place since the fire was first reported less than 24 hours ago. No word yet on how the fire started. The state did mobilize its resources to assist local firefighters at the scene in Skamania County. Meanwhile, it is nerve-wracking for residents and visitors in the area.
The wind, it certainly makes you a little more nervous. And then fingers crossed and pray. These guys are out there doing all they can to knock it down. So our prayers are with them.
The Red Cross has set up an evacuation site at the Skamania County Fairgrounds for people who have had to leave their homes. To an update now, the man accused of murdering a family of 4 in Kellogg was originally scheduled to appear in court today for his preliminary hearing.
But according to new court documents, a Shoshone County judge pushed that date back to August. 31-year-old Major John Kaler is accused of killing his neighbors on Father's Day. Kaler's preliminary hearing is now scheduled for August 16th because both the defense and prosecution say they need more time to go through the evidence. Now, the judge presiding over this case issued a gag order. This order prevents investigators, attorneys, witnesses, or anyone else involved in the case from speaking with the media. Prosecutors say Kaler admitted to killing his 4 neighbors after he accused the oldest son in the family of lewd conduct in front of his young children. He now faces charges of first-degree murder and felony burglary. If convicted, Kaler faces life in prison for each of the murder charges.
It is just about 6:05 here. Let's take a look at your morning rush. More news in less time. This morning, the field in the race for governor is getting crowded. Former U.S. Representative and King County Sheriff Dave Reichert appears to be entering the race. The state's Public Disclosure Commission website shows Reichert registered as a Republican candidate last week. He was a longtime King County Sheriff's deputy and detective best known for arresting the Green River Killer. In 2004, he won a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives that he held until 2019. 3 people dead and another is hurt after a head-on crash on State Route 26 in Adams County on Friday. The Washington State Patrol says a car was going eastbound on the highway when it crossed the center line and hit another car head-on. Both the driver and passenger of the eastbound car died at the scene. The passenger of the westbound car also died at the scene. This morning, WSP is still investigating what happened. Well, check this out. A Kootenai County man is in the hospital with serious injuries this morning after crashing his car into a bear on Saturday night. A 47-year-old man was driving on US 95 in Kootenai County when he hit the bear and veered off the road. The car rolled and the man was thrown from the car. Troopers report the car did not have seat belts. The man's condition is not known at this hour. Neither is the state of the bear. That is a look at your morning rush.
Multiple mass shootings over the weekend took place at holiday celebrations across the country. One shooting in Baltimore killed 2 people and injured at least 28 others. According to Baltimore police, at least 2 people started shooting into a block party early Sunday morning. The Baltimore police commissioner says the search for the shooters is still underway right now. An 18-year-old woman and a 20-year-old man were killed. Half of the people shot were kids, with the youngest being just 13 years old.
It broke my heart because it could have been us. I don't even know how to digest it.
Now, there was also a shooting at a nightclub in Wichita, Kansas. Police say at least 4 guns were fired inside the club. 9 people were shot and 2 people were trampled as they tried to escape. Thankfully, though, everyone did survive. So far, 1 person is in custody. According to the Gun Violence Archive, there have been at least 338 mass shootings nationwide so far this year.
6:07, and as we look at our weather forecast for today, yes, we're tracking dry and decently windy weather, and that's going to prompt the red flag warnings yet again for central and northern Washington. So northerly winds coming out of the Okanagan Valley through Omak will spread across central Washington down towards the Moses Lake area. So those regions under red flag warnings through this afternoon. Of course, we have elevated to high levels of fire danger because mainly of those windy conditions. We'll also see a bit of some wildfire smoke and haze start to drift overhead later today. The winds out of the north are going to push those hazy skies over Washington and North Idaho in the next 12 to 24 hours. And hazy it will likely stay for a few days this week, but our temperatures still pretty comfortable for summer standards in the mid-80s.
Well, more Washingtonians under the age of 18 are entering into the workforce. Labor and industry say that 38,000 minor work permits were issued just last year.
And with the rise of more teens working, there's also been a record number of businesses cited for child labor violations, and that includes the club at Snoqualmie Ridge. Labor and Industry says its owner, Evergreen Alliance Golf Limited, overworked minors more than 250 times. They recently paid $27,000 in fines as a result. L&I says last year, 787 minors were hurt on the job. Matt Pomeranke has been a fierce advocate for workplace safety and young people after his arm had to be amputated because of a lumber mill accident.
It is so much more important, I feel, now because there's so much turnover and so many people going into new jobs right now that a lot of times it's new people training new people training new people. And when you start getting that direction, you start losing little bits and pieces of it.
For nearly 10 years, Pomeranke has been speaking at schools across the state, encouraging teens to know their rights in the workplace.